so much gloom out in the reality. It's just a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah, it's a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah. Take a look into the sky. Take a look into the sky.
Look in the sky.
Keep your head up high.
High. Keep your head high.
Take a look into the sky.
Ready or not, we are off and running. Little Friday edition of Gulfstream today, live from our Paddock Set Studios. Ron Nicoletti, Jason Blewett, good to have you with us, everybody. Another picture-perfect Friday here in Hallandale Beach, and we welcome our newest resident to the backstretch, the mighty Gunrunner.
As they say, the big dog is in town.
Yep.
The big horse made it into town last night, about 6:45, thereabouts.
Yeah, under the cloak of darkness. That was basically the same scenario this morning as Gunrunner, who's likely in just a few days, in fact, about 6 days, a little less, to be named 2017's unanimous horse of the year. Got acquainted with the main track this morning, and his right-hand man, of course, we're talking about trainer Steve Asmussen, and assistant trainer Scott Blasi was right alongside the big horse in Gunrunner, and after they arrived here at Gulfstream Park, we caught up with Scott and asked him, how did the trip go?
Well, it was easy on him. Actually, we got here pretty quick and only took us about 4 hours. It was just getting on the road. It's pretty cold in New Orleans and it got pushed back. We just waited till it was good and then put him on the plane and headed this way. You know, he's in such good condition right now, and he's so fit. So, like, you lead him off that van, off an airplane, he knows where he's at and what he's getting ready to do. But, you know, we expect him to settle in and train and get a little work over the racetrack and school in the paddock a time or two. So hopefully that'll help us get adjusted, and we expect for him to handle everything like he has before.
Hard to believe he's just 8 days out from the final start of his career, a career that'll likely land him in the Hall of Fame down the line, and that'll be next Saturday's $16 million Pegasus. Talented horse and Gunrunner, and Scott Blasi, aside from saying this horse handled the short plane ride from New Orleans to South Florida like a pro, I also like that he said he knows that he's left his home base and he's in a different surrounding in a different area. He knows what's coming.
That means one thing, he's getting ready to run. So, and he looked nice on the track this morning under, as you said, the cloak of darkness, but it looks like he was just enjoying his look around, sort of what to say here, in his first day here.
He's our resident rock star. Looking forward to him. Again, going out a likely short-priced winner next Saturday in our meat-defining $16 million Pegasus. Now for a little rundown as to what's on tap today, and we're very excited, obviously, about the Pegasus, the 8 graded stakes on that Saturday card, but we do have an excellent 10-race card lined up today at Gulfstream Park. It all begins a little after 12:35, and that opening high five. You can get involved for just $1 in race number 1. Field of 7, those are 3-year-old maidens, and they will coincide and get things underway in that first of 2 pick 5s for just 50 cents. I'll be giving out a ticket in just a few moments. And once again, the old drum roll here on this Friday here, Ronnie, at GP. $2.57 million.
And it was over $3 million yesterday. And of course, 70% goes back to the bettors that bet yesterday. So 30% was added. So it should be well over $3 million again this afternoon. And you can get involved for only that 20-cent wager. And as you said, starts in race number 5.
Absolutely love it. It's been a lot of fun watching this carryover to continue to grow day by day. We come full circle in a way with the start of the second half of today's 10-race program. Race number 6 is the opening leg of the 50-cent late pick 5. That includes a really nice featured 9th race on the dirt for older fillies and mares. Good to see Nona Bella back in action for leading trainer Todd Pletcher, who, boy, we'll see if he can stay healthy and sound, but boy, did he bring back a buzzsaw here late yesterday in the form of Driven to Compete, who broke his mane by almost 14 and got an 86 buyer.
Yeah, he was just very, very impressive, and Todd Pletcher's been doing that throughout this meeting. He's bringing horses back, and they're just running lights out. He had 2 in that race with Nona Bella, scratched one out, and he's got the other Rapoli horse in that race this afternoon. Looks like a lot of people are going to be zeroing in on a single maybe in that particular race.
Including yours truly, down the line in the late pick 5. We'll see what your Rainbow 6 a bit later in the show. But let's get tied on with the first of 2 pick 5s. And needless to say, the weather could not be any nicer for thoroughbred racing. We are fast and firm. And I've got 2 singles in the mix. I got a little cute in race 4, singling one of 2 horses trained by Todd Pletcher in there. I went with the bigger priced horse who's got Johnny V in Village Express, but I may go back and have to add the 9 Hinford as well, who's taking a big drop second time out. I like, and we're going to see a little bit of fluctuation, I think, between now and obviously race number 1 today. I think the turf is a little odd for the 5 Thunder's Honor in the sense that this horse would be a well-bet contender on the dirt in a special weight, but I see you've got him on top as well to start things out.
Well, he's making his turf debut after posting 80-plus buyers in both his recent sprints on the main track. It's George Weaver, Irod Ortiz atop this son of Dialed In. And I just think this horse, especially at 5 furlongs, is going to be able to translate that ability to the turf this afternoon.
And if he does, it's going to take a Herculean effort from somebody to deny him the win. He's kept good company in his last couple. He chased outside against a very live rail in his last dirt start here on Saturday, December 23rd. That was a race that produced strike power, got a 102 buyer, and was one of the fastest 2-year-olds in terms of figures to run during 2017. A good spot here to try the turf. Regarding the competition, and again, it's very early. We're about an hour out from the first race, and you will get a bigger price on the inside runner, Nepthine, who we both have capping our super as that horse comes out of a loss against the talented Fastboat.
Yeah, and I did thought it was a logical contender to be on the ticket, but I was sort of enamored with Thunder's Honor, and that's where I was going to hang my hat. And I'm surprised that you single in there. I might have went too deep, but it's a good horse. I think he's the one to beat.
Horoscopo, if you go too deep, would he be the other one for you?
Yeah, he looks like the logical choice in this race because he rallied to finish second on the turf at this same level and distance. Mark Cassie, MCL Jaramillo, and this is a $325,000 son of Orb. So lots to like about that horse. Now, he's sort of proven on the turf where Thunder's Honor isn't.
Right, and that is the main question surrounding Thunder's Honor. It seems like they are in a hurry to get him on the grass. But again, I think he can run a little bit, and we'll take him with Ronnie as the likely favorite in race number 1. As we turn the page, we get on to race number 2. We hit the main track, and we're out to that 1-turn mile. So they'll have that lengthy run down the backstretch here in this $6,250 claimer. And if you saw that early pick 5 comment, this ultimately might turn out to be almost a match race per se between Gilberto Zerpa's Pro Meat and then Jorge Navarro's 7-horse Moonlight Bandit. Now, in the case of Pro Meat, let's show you his last start. More of a window dressing replay. This horse a big favorite in his last couple of starts. Both wound up being lopsided victories. He won 2 back over at GPW by over a dozen, and he followed it up in for the 12-5-3 lifetime, winning by 6 1/4. I like the fact, and he may have a real rival here, Ronnie, in the 7 Moonlight Bandit, but the fact that Zerpa puts this horse, who's running in an open claimer today, I like the fact that he's dropping him down, because oftentimes we see horses who can really bull fields and bully fields around running in those restricted claimers, and they'll run back for, say, 16 in open company. But it's a different ball game here. He's running against far better horses than he was last time out.
He is, and those 2 races that you were talking about, one was at 7, one was at 6 furlongs respectively. So going to prove he can do this at the mile. He's got MCL Jaramillo going for the hat trick this afternoon, and that was playing devil's advocate. I didn't know if this horse would run as well at this level at the distance. Thus putting Moonlight Bandit on top, who's dropping to this level, and after dueling for lead, he tired when facing 16 optional claimers, going a mile into 16th. He was upstate at Tampa. It's George Navarro, and he's got Irod Ortiz Jr. in the saddle. So lots to like. And I think you're right. These are the logical 2, whether you go 6-7 or 7-6.
Oh, at this point, and again, very early, they're both $28 in the early double, but they'll probably be close in the win odds. We'll see. My one little caveat with Moonlight Bandit, he seems to have, over the last year and change, he's been way more of a 2-turn horse. He doesn't get that today, whereas Pro Meat, on the other hand, has been more of a horse who sprinted as Ronnie said, in shorter distances. So we'll see who can prove best going the one-turn mile. Race number 3 today as we continue on this January 19th on the main. We cut back to a sprint at 3/4 on the dirt with these 3-year-old $25,000 maiden claimers. The 6 Geodude didn't get cute here. He was one of 2 that I used in the early pick 5. Of the ones that have run, to me, he's the most dangerous for the obvious reasons. Jason Service and a horse who is just getting some needed class relief.
Yeah, but he hasn't been seen since he bolted on the first turn and didn't finish that 1-mile maiden special weight test. It was in the slop. It was at Monmouth. We got a stat on Jason Service over the last 5 years with horses going from maiden special to maiden claiming with 61 to 180 days. He's 8 for 21. That is 38%, and he's got a positive return of investment. He's in the money like over 60% of the time. So reason to believe. I didn't put him on top because I wanted to see one after that, whatever that was, what happened the first time out.
Yeah, obviously things did not work out early on. Just strides from the gate in his last start, right around Labor Day weekend, in fact, about 4.5 months ago. Service does a good job. He puts on a rider who he's won a number of races with. Although they've had limited action together, they've no doubt won some races. And I'm just going to take Geodude out of my respect for Jason Service. But the other horse I used in my early pick 5, and this is because Eddie Keneally is so good at getting horses ready off workouts alone, first-time starters, that is. He's got the 4 inverted, and the fact that Jose Ortiz takes the call here would lead me to believe this New York bred is just quite simply live.
And that was my thought process. His son of gemologist finds a perfect start to start his career. Eddie Keneally, you mentioned, really sharp with debut maiden claimers. Adds Lasix. Jose will be in the saddle, and that's what it. I wanted to see Geodude run one, so I put the first-time starter on top of my ticket, but I would go at least 2-3 deep in this race.
Okay, 27 wins here at the meet and counting for Todd Pletcher, who is well at work at winning his 15th consecutive 1-5 in terms of the championship meet training title, which is just unbelievable when you think about that number. And he's got the old 1-2 punch coming up in race number 4 today. These are 3-year-old, high-priced maiden $50,000 maiden claimers going the one-turn mile. Maybe got a little over-ambitious, leaving both Ronnie's top pick, Longblade, the 8, and the 9, Hinford, out of the number. But the 7, Village Express, does have Johnny V of the 2 Todd horses here, and he just seems to win with these runners. In fact, I'm curious to see the stat you pulled here.
Well, we got a stat here on both Village Express and Hinford. Todd Pletcher over the last 5 years, maiden special to maiden claiming, going from turf to dirt. He's 11 for 24, 46%, 67% in the money, and over a $3 return of investment, exactly $3.50.
And then when you narrow that stat down even a little further, and you're curious because it works for both Village Express and Hinford today, when you add second-time starters to the mix, Todd's 5 for his last 9. So the stats, obviously, they're otherworldly, and he just, especially at Gulfstream Park, seems to win with the kind of resumes that Village Express and Hinford have. Even though they do appear give-ups, this is not an operation that's just going to lead one over here just to run in special weights when the horse isn't up to snuff in terms of that level. So they're both in for the maiden 50. You, however, have got a horse running back for the maiden 50 in the 8, Longblade, who does keep leading rider, Luis Saez.
I'm looking 12 to 1 on the morning line, and this is what I like this horse.
Is this your long shot today?
No, it's not. I just thought that this was a logical contender. Of course, we know all the Todd Pletcher stats, and it's very hard to beat him no matter what he does with the 7 or the 9. But Longblade is going to try this one-turn mile on the main track. He went up. He set the pace. He finished 6th, but that was against 50 maidens going a 2-turn mile on the turf. Armando de la Cerda, one of his sharpest moves, over 30% with the turf to dirt angle. So I went and take a little bit of a shot in here. I like this horse today. I hope I get 12 to 1.
Been a heck of a meet so far for Armando de la Cerda. He did well here a year ago during the championship season. Won a lot of races throughout the spring, summer, and fall. He's got 10 victories and counting, and you heard it here first. He will be getting the money in tomorrow's Sunshine Million Sprint with Quixote over XY Jet.
Mark that down.
Mark it down. Big Saturday, in fact. We've got a dozen races, including 4 Sunshine Million stakes for the Florida breds, but we got to get through today's Rainbow 6. Little Friday action as we chase the rainbow after this quick timeout.
On January 27th, the world's richest thoroughbred horse race returns. The Pegasus World Cup Invitational. 12 of the world's best horses compete for a record $16 million purse. It's an unforgettable entertainment experience you won't want to miss. At Gulfstream Park, one of Florida's premier entertainment destinations. Tickets on sale now at PegasusWorldCup.com.
Pennsylvania, proud of our growing breeding and racing industry. Tens of thousands of jobs with a massive economic impact. Now, North America's most lucrative awards program will pay a 50% breeder award for PA-sired, PA-bred maidens who run first, second, or third, with 25% for non-PA-sired PA-breds. Plus, up to 40% in owner bonuses, 400-plus restricted races, and our program has paid out $30 million for the 6th straight year. Breeding and racing in Pennsylvania. It's a winner.
Party, welcome back, and a live welcome back from our Paddock Set Side studios here on this Friday edition of Gulfstream Today with Ronnie and Jason. Quick reminder, again, it is Beat the Expert Friday. We're so pumped up about the Rainbow Six, but Keisha Courtney on deck today for the Beat the Expert.
Beat the Expert, a lot of fun game to play along with us, and you got a chance to win one of those cool polo shirts. And what you do, play along with Keisha. Let her know if you're beating her or not beating her, whatever the case may be. Fun, and guess what? It's free to play.
You can't go wrong, and it's just awesome seeing it each and every Friday here during this time of the year, seeing people getting pumped up and maybe talking a little trash, having a good time, and interacting throughout social media. So definitely get involved, free to play. You can sign up over at GulfstreamPark.com, your one-stop shopping for all things GP by the sea. So Rainbow Six today, my friend. What are we doing?
Stepped it up a little bit this afternoon, $57.60, because, and I saw your ticket, your early pick 5. I thought this fifth race was tough. I went 4 deep in there.
Yeah, I did too, yeah.
Which made me boost my ticket up a little bit. No singles in there. We were talking about race number 9, you know, with Todd Pletcher's horse in there, Nona Bella. I was so tempted to single that horse to make my ticket left, but I got a little bit of interest in the long shot in there in Stellar Performance, so I just thought maybe I'd take a little bit of a shot and have a chance maybe to get a good ticket.
Well, she's not coming off a layoff in Stellar Performance, and she's not bad. All right, fine. She was over her head a little bit at almost 100-1 in the Sugar Swirl last time out. She's got some talent. She's got some class for Eric Gio, and if my memory is correct, I've got her 2nd or 3rd. And Nona Bella does have to come off the bench. She's got to deal with that inside post as well. But again, the opening piece of this Rainbow Six puzzle is all about these Florida-bred 3-year-old filly maidens on the turf in race number 5 at 7.5 furlongs. There's rematches. Horses coming, horses going, horses stretching out in distance, a lot going on. It really seems like, Ronnie, an opening leg to the Rainbow Six in which trip, not to say that trip is never not the most important thing, but it may even take some precedence here over some other factors.
Yeah, and I took a barn that has 2 horses in here. I figured maybe they know what they're doing in this race, and I put the number 5 Super Striking on top, turning back slightly, 7.5, stalked the pace, finished 3rd when facing similar, going a mile on the turf. It's Mike Trombetta, Irod Ortiz Jr. atop his daughter of brilliant speed. He's also got Smarty Smart in here. So I thought maybe that was the right way to go in there. And you got him on your ticket further down the ticket, but I thought maybe this one, she was the way to go.
Now, I'm hoping the one Expected Entry pulls a good trip up close, maybe tucked away in the pocket, covered up right in that first flight, or maybe even just tracking the number 3, Tropicality, who seems pretty fast as she picks up Nick Juarez. I'm giving Expected Entry the slight nod here because of the point of entry and her just getting a little more yardage to play with here around 2 turns. She's run well, obviously, in her last couple, going 5/8. I kind of like, at least in my head, being by point of entry, trying this distance where the race is a little more settled early on. It's not that just giddy up and go from the starting gate. Expected Entry for me on top. I also, and I see you have Tropicality, the 3 in the mix, I really like the race she's coming out of December 23rd. I know she didn't run all that well. I do think, and we've only seen one horse come back and not perform up to snuff, but I think that is a live race potentially in the making.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with her to put her on my ticket. I actually had, I said, is this going to be a long shot? And then lo and behold, I look, she's the morning line favorite in the race. So I was seeing this race a total different way, and that's the beauty of starting the Rainbow Six with this race, because you can go different angles. I'm curious to see who, when the smoke clears, is the favorite.
And
in
how
this
they
race.
bet it, too. And there may really be about this much separating half the field in terms of ability. It's just that kind of evenly matched maiden special weight on the Florida green. Now, moving on to race number 6, we begin our run at the half-mile pole on the far turn. And with 5 left to go, this is the starting point of Friday's Late Pick 5. We'll give you a look at my ticket, in which, and I gave you a little teaser earlier saying that I singled Nona Bella in race number 9, and she is the anchor in an $18 play that sees me going 3 deep in the opening leg. I used a couple in race 7, and I did pick for better or for worse Miss Sophia Star on top. Did you take her in there for Pletcher?
I did.
In race 7?
Yeah, I did. Yes,
she didn't run all that great last time, but I'll give her one more chance. I'm a little worried about the 8th race, Ronnie. That race has got to...
We're going to go back. That's my best bet today.
Oh, Miss Sophia Star, good. I'm glad you're that confident in her, because I'm not. I went back to her again with the Pletcher factor, singled Todd's other horse in the sequence again in Nona Bella. I would not argue with anybody who was putting in multiple tickets in the Rainbow 6 or the Late Pick 5 in the last race, singling Spicy Nelly, who's got the bullseye on her back. She might just be a little classier, a little better than those. What scares me, and I'm curious, who'd you take in the 8th race? I obviously used 3 deep there. I don't have a lot of confidence, even though I basically used half the field.
I went with the Journey's End and Mo Bourbon and Legal Azteca.
So you got the 5 on top.
I got the 5 on top, yeah. So Journey's End, I mean, that's what makes this Rainbow 6 great today.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many different ways to go, and that's thus the reason I was 57-60. And I'm not that confident, but I'm going to give it a big shot.
Yeah, let's give it a try. That's the fun of the game, and we've got 10 blank slates staring at us in the face here. Now, race 6 today is a good one. Another Florida-bred restricted stake, or restricted allowance race, excuse me. These are older fillies and mares on the main track. You've got 2 Jorge Navarro horses towards the outside, and Competitive Player and Starship Raina, who are both new claims for George. Now, you took Starship Raina on top. I am most anxious to see, and I put Navarro 1-2, but the 4 Our Next Roll, in terms of promise and maybe overall ability, she might have the most to gain here. The question becomes, because as we show you her last start, which was a daylight, much the best effort, problem is, for me, she catches a pretty deep field coming back, and you can look at the date of this race, April 9th of 2017. It has been a long time since she was last in a horse race.
Yeah, you know, Ralph Zadie is the trainer, and there's not a big sampling. He's 2 for 7, 29%, which the angle, you know, coming off a longer than 180-day low. What intrigued me is they put the apprentice Alvaro Doniz atop this daughter of Overdriven. It looks like they're planning to send her, get the weight, and see if she can steal it. Still, with that said, I put Starship Raina like you did on top of my ticket.
Who's going to be one of the keys early on. If you make Our Next Roll as the likely pace setter, pace figures I use put Starship Raina, and she's pretty quick in her own right, put her right on the flank of Our Next Roll. So a good little matchup there between 2 high percentage and very shrewd barns there, and Ralph Zadie with the layoff and the old 1-2 punch for Navarro off the claim. You want to add anything with race 6?
No, I'm done with race 6.
All right, good. Let's turn the page. Let's get on, because your best bet awaits here.
That's why I want to get to here, and I'll tell you why. Miss Sophia Star is looking to make amends after responding to that drop down with a 3rd place finish. But it was only beaten 1 1/4 lengths as the favorite at this level and distance. I thought this horse ran okay. Todd Pletcher, Johnny V, you mentioned earlier, somehow Johnny V always wins for Todd Pletcher. That was my thought process. Is a $170,000 daughter of congrats. More importantly, the field this horse faces, that she faces today, I think she's better than them. That's my thought process.
I don't think the connections, even though they were probably a little disappointed she didn't win for maiden 50, dropping last time out as the 6-5 favorite, I think the connections would be pretty happy, and they probably are pretty happy that this field assembled the way it did as far as the entry box goes, because she's going to be a clear favorite again. And perhaps the main danger is the one Dance Rhythms, who's well connected with Dale and Luis, teaming up from the rail, and she's never started this cheaply.
Yeah, and maiden, she's the morning line favorite. And Ann, if you remember my ticket, I did not single. I went too deep in here because I was a little afraid of Dance Rhythms in that race.
All right, couple of firsters. We'll see if they take money, but again, Dale and Todd seem to have the 2 aces in race number 7. 8th race this afternoon as we turn our attention to this 3 lifetime 6250 claimer going 3/4 on the main track. And you had picked the number 5 Journey's End, who, when we go back, and we'll do it right now, we'll watch the race this horse is coming out of back on January 4th. In fact, you got a pretty big group that competed in the 2nd race that afternoon. There's no denying that Ronnie's top pick here, for Ronnie Spatz, by the way, in Journey's End, ran the best race. This horse vied inside, had the Jordan tongue hanging out, shrugged off everybody. Now, Mo Bourbon, if we can freeze it here, never really kicked it into high gear. Didn't run poorly, didn't run outstanding. I would say Mo Bourbon was more one-paced in this race, and here you go with Journey's End, who's down inside, who did all the dirty work and was just cut down in deep stretch, narrowly by a long shot in Horse Spotter Carl.
Yeah, and stretching out to 3/4 of a mile today, and just thought Journey's End, off to this game performance there, was the one to beat in this 8th race. And Mo Bourbon was okay, was closing.
Okay.
You know, maybe the stretch out from 5.5 to 6 will be good for that horse. So I thought those were, in my estimation, the logical 2. In there, you put the one Mo Bourbon on top.
I did. I wanted to go back to him. I really liked him last time out. And again, didn't have any serious punch. But again, you're right about that, Ronnie. Maybe going 3/4 on a track that is dry today and doesn't have any moisture in it, maybe that'll help him out. And for no other reason than, and the main reason was that these horses tend to take turns beating one another at this level. So maybe it's the day for Mo Bourbon. I'm very encouraged that Jose Ortiz sees fit to ride him back. As we move on to race number 9, our final dirt race on this January 19th goes as our featured 9th. It'll be the West Point race of the day as well in this $250,000 allowance optional claimer for older fillies and mares. And there was that strength in numbers and maybe a little bit of a diciness as far as doing the prep work for this car, because in my mind I found it highly unlikely that Nona Bella and Spice Lady would run against each other in the same race. And perhaps it's a bit of a confidence swing here, giving Nona Bella the green light, despite the fact she's got to deal with that tricky inside post, and the fact that she hasn't run since Preakness Eve back on May 19th.
Yeah, she failed to fire. That was in the Grade 3 Miss Preakness at Pimlico. John Velasquez rides the Stewart of Stay Thirsty, and I think the big story of this race is the scratches in here, thus moving me up to stellar performance. And you said it just before, this horse is not as bad as it might look when you look at the performance in the Grade 3 Sugar Swirl. And I just think that Nona Bella's the one to beat. But if you want to get a long shot in the Rainbow Six, you put maybe a horse like Stellar Performance or the 7-horse Miss Kentucky on your ticket, along with the obvious choice. I mean, so many people are going to single Nona Bella.
They are. She'll be an overbet underlaid favorite because of the obvious reason. She was stake-faced last season at 3. And I do believe, layoff aside, she'll turn out to be, if she's any good, she'll be a one-turn sprinter, 6 to 7, maybe a mile around one turn. I get them trying the Gulfstream Park Oaks on last year's Florida Derby Day. She doesn't want to run that far and was blown off the track by Salty. And look, I give a lot of respect, and you noted her as well in the 7 Miss Kentucky, who may pull the best trip of anybody. And she's really, I get the sense, in the driver's seat beneath Hall of Famer Javier Castellano. Rustiano's horses have been running well here.
Yeah, and 2 starts back, this horse was very impressive. Tried Stakes Company in its last race, making its 4-year-old debut. This horse is going to run okay in this spot.
Almost a very similar look to both Miss Kentucky and Stellar Performance. They're both outside post 7 and 8 or post 6 and 7 with the scratches, and they are both coming out of failed attempts in Stakes Company, but were really good 2 back. On to race number 10 as we close down the card, and these are 3-year-old fillies on the turf, ending things at the old 2-turn mile distance. Got a scratch of the 3, Cosita Rica, and we've got a likely real favorite here in the 9, Spicy Nelly. I like that you took a little shot against her, but looking at that, she was so good behind Nikki's Cause, who's got some serious talent and would probably be in the realm of 4 to 5 or 3 to 5 against this same field. I got to assume, all things being equal, and Spicy Nelly runs to what she's been capable of and her level, that she might just be a little bit better than these. But you want Marcus Vitale, man, and he had a nice win yesterday with Gracie Spirit.
And this one, 10 to 1 in the morning line, wheeling back after following her $25,000 maiden victory, comes back. I thought it was a solid effort from the rail. She dueled 2 wide before weakening to finish 5th. It's Marcus Vitale. Irat Ortiz Jr. rationing her speed in the nightcap this afternoon. And looking for a bit of a price. This was my long shot today because I know Spicy Nelly is absolutely, totally the one to beat. And that's why I might get a nice little price on a barn that's been going very well and one of the top jockeys in the world.
Yeah, Erod doing very well here. In fact, enters this Friday card with 16 victories. And you got it right. It's all about going in those January 4th horses, and there's a large contingent rematching in the old bullseye on the back of the 9. Spicy Nelly with Miguel Vasquez. Keisha Courtney will be joining us today. We've got 10 races, a gigantic $2.5 million carryover in the Rainbow Six. So, pens, pencils, tablets, smartphones, get them all ready. Pete Aiello's coming
Abacus.
up. Yeah, your abacus. Pete Aiello coming up next with those Friday scratches and changes.